The biggest things that really concern me about this horse is making sure that, number one, his healthcare needs were met. When you go to Andrea's barn, his horses look beautiful. They're fat, they're slick. You can tell a lot about how a horse is cared for by their hair coat. It's slick, it's tight, it's shiny, their manes and tails are beautiful, and more than anything, their horses are just happy. You know, when you walk through his barn, his horses aren't sitting there pinning their ears back in the back of the stall and being ugly and cranky and unhappy. His horses are very happy just in their natural environment in their stalls and the way that they're cared for. So that was really important for me.
This time I'm gonna change right in the center. Get to the center, square up, and change.
When I asked Titan the first time on that fast lead change, he was about a stride late. Was it terrible? No, but if you do it and you let him get away with it, that one stride may turn into 2 or into 3, and then in the show pen you run into a penalty situation.
Leaning forward just a little bit.
So here at home, there's no room for error. If something is not just right, we're gonna stop it and we're gonna ask for it again until we get it right.
This time we did it right. Just like we did when we circled in the lead change, I'm gonna try it the first time the same way I would go show. And then if something happens to where I feel that I've gotta address it to where it's not good, then we're gonna let Titan tell us what we need to do. The worst thing you can do is come out and do an exercise just because you feel that you need to do it without letting the horse tell you if you really need to do it or not. Meaning that I get on my horses every day and I've got a plan in my mind, but I wanna make sure that I come out and I let that horse tell me, is that plan the right plan for today, or do we need to switch it up and address something else? I'm not gonna have a plan and make my horse stick to it. I'm gonna stick to what the horse is telling me the plan should be. So just like for every other exercise during the training program, we're gonna do the maneuver or ask the horse to do the maneuver and then let him tell us what we need to work on in order to perform that maneuver right. I'm gonna pick up my right lead. I'm gonna do a big circle, and then I'm gonna come to the center, do a small circle, and I'm gonna ask my horse to change leads. This is pattern 6 or pattern 7, multiple patterns to where you're going into a small, slow, and then changing leads. At this point, I'm not practicing a slow lead change in a big circle, because that never really happens when you go show. If you're gonna practice a lead change in a big circle, I'm gonna practice it at a higher speed. I'm gonna practice the small circle lead change because that's what's gonna happen when I go show. That doesn't mean that I don't change leads going slow in a big circle. I do that all the time. But today we're working on getting our horse and Titan ready for the show pen. So we're gonna stick to what we're gonna have to do in the show pen. We're gonna pick up the right lead, left flag first. We're gonna tell him, okay, this is the right lead. Now my hand is gonna tell him, let's go ahead and pick it up. I'm gonna leave my hand down and just lope a nice, quiet, big circle. I try to sit up straight, my right hand up. I don't like usually when I ride at home and train, I keep it down. By keeping it up, it's gonna stiffen you up a little bit and it's gonna make Titan feel something a little bit different than training. So I wanna make sure that he feels what he's gonna feel when I go show. When I go show, I keep my right hand up because it looks a little bit better, so I'm gonna do it here. Now, am I happy the way he's loping here to the right? Not really. He's looking to the left and he's actually leaving that circle. So before we go to the lead change, we're gonna need to address that. As I said, I've got a plan. My plan was to do one small slow and then change leads. But if that small slow is not good, there's no point of going and changing leads. We're gonna need to fix the fact that he's leaning to the left when he comes to the middle. How do we fix it? We steer, once again. First we steer, if I don't feel that he's following my hand, I'm gonna make sure I touch his face and remind him, when I steer, you need to look the direction where I'm steering. You need to be soft in the face. I'm gonna check the steering again this time. That's what I want. If next time he's staying good through the middle, I'm gonna ask him to change leads. I'm not gonna set him up. It'll be easy to set him up and get it done right. I wanna see what happens when I catch him by surprise. That was good. I was happy with that. I put my right leg on it, lifted my hand up just a little bit, and the lead change came right through, and I was able to steer him here to the left and now he's still steering to the left. So to me, for the first time practicing it today, that's an ideal situation, meaning that I came to the middle, I really don't feel that I gotta fix a whole lot. There's things that I may follow up with it, maybe changing leads and staying in that counter canter. Since I had to steer him away from the left side, the worst thing I can do is probably change leads and go to the left and let it be that way, because tomorrow when I come out, he's probably gonna be thinking about coming to the left even more. So what I'm gonna follow up now is making sure that I can change in the center, but he's not gonna come left. He thinks that he's gonna have to stay straight unless I ask him to steer left. He may even just go left before I even change leads this time, just because he was already thinking left. I'm gonna go back to that small slow. I'm gonna do a circle without changing and see what he's thinking coming through the middle. I need to let the horse tell me what he's thinking. He's good. He's with me right now. So this next time, if he feels good, I'm gonna change and then stay in a right small circle. We're not gonna go left. See how there he's thinking about going to the left? I'm gonna make sure that he thinks about staying soft, round up. These are all exercises that Titan has done before, but I'm gonna remind him of what he's supposed to do. Clinton did all the hard work here. He spent all the time doing all these exercises. All I've gotta do is making sure that he remembers that. A lot of times when you start moving away and start practicing your patterns, you seem to forget the important stuff that got you there. All the exercises are important and you need to keep reminding your horse. You may not be needing to spend 10 minutes doing a counter canter, but if you all introduce it and you remind him of what he knows, that horse is going to last a lot longer for you, because he's going to remember everything that's important in the training process. Now that we covered the lead changes going slow, what's next? Well, you know what's next. It's always a higher speed. I always practice maneuvers going slow first and making it easy on me and my horse, and then I start introducing the speed and checking things going fast. That's when things usually start going wrong. We know that we can circle to the right and go slow, and we know that he can change leads going slow. Now we're gonna try to do it going fast. I'm gonna ask myself, what do I do when I go show? What do I need to do here at home? When I go show and I go fast, things seem to get a little more chaotic for me. I much rather spend time going slow than going fast in the show pen, meaning that it gives me more time to prepare my horse to change leads. Especially in the lead change, and especially if you're in a little bit of a smaller arena when you go show, you never know when you're gonna go show next. You don't know how much space you're gonna have to set your horse up. So what I like to practice is practice my big circles at home when I practice my lead changes, making it hard on me and making it a little bit smaller than what I would typically rather do. So this is a 150-foot wide pen. It's a pretty big pen. I'm probably gonna make my circle probably 120, 125 feet. The reason why I'm gonna do that is because it's gonna shorten up the amount of distance that I have in the center to set my horse up, and I'm gonna really find out what I got from my horse if I gotta go show in a small arena and I've gotta do a fast lead change. So I'm gonna pick up the lope, make my big circle a little bit smaller, making it fast, and then I'm gonna go through the middle and ask my horse to change and see what he does. I practice right to left. Let's practice left to right this time and kind of see what we've got. You don't have to speed your horse up right away. We're not practicing the circles anymore in the show situation. We're just concentrating on the lead change. So I have no problem doing what I'm doing, which I'm picking up the lope, reminding Titan to stay a little bit soft. But then when I start going fast, then I'm not gonna touch his face anymore because that's gonna keep him framed up. I wanna see what happens when maybe he comes out of position a little bit and I still ask him to change leads. So past the center, I'm gonna speed him up. Make my big circle a little bit smaller. Staying away from that fence a little bit. I'm gonna do one circle without changing because I want to see what he does going through the middle, going fast. He's a little elevated, but I'm okay with that. You just noticed I'm looking where I'm going just like I would when I go show. I'm leaning forward a little bit more. When I go show, I tend to tense up and go forward a little bit, so I'm gonna try to replicate that here at home. This time I'm gonna change right in the center. Get to the center, square up, and change. It wasn't terrible, but it was one stride late. So I stopped my horse right away. The lead change is one spot where I don't let the horse get away with making any mistakes, because it seems like it takes a lot longer to fix it if you do that. So what he did, it just took him a second to figure out what I wanted. I haven't done it, I haven't set him up. I went to the middle, put my leg, and he said, okay, what's happening? And then he figured it out the next stride. No big deal, I'm not gonna get after the horse for doing that, but I'm gonna go do it again right away and making sure that he's thinking about it. I want him sharp to where he's not gonna take him a stride or two, because in a small arena, a stride or two, probably gonna be 10, 15 feet off the center. That's a half a point. We're gonna try to make it just right. So we're gonna do it again. Next time, if he misses it to where he's taking him an extra stride to do it, I'm gonna stop him and side pass him off that leg and sharpen him up, make him think about that leg to where he's a little bit quicker getting off that leg. I'm gonna speed him up, a little smaller circle again. Leaning forward just a little bit. This time he did it right. I'm gonna let him slow down a little bit. After the lead change, if he does it right, I'm not gonna keep going. I'm gonna let him know that that's a good thing. I was happy with that. I had to help him a little bit with my hand. And that tells me that I might need to practice it a few more times to where I can just leave my hand down, change, and just steer without having to touch his face. That time I did touch his face a little bit, but I know I can get it done. And that's something that I always try to keep in mind. First, I try to practice doing a pattern, and then I try to improve that pattern. If I can't even put it together, there's no point of me trying to get a +1 maneuver. First, I want to make sure that I can get everything at a 0 + half situation. If I feel comfortable that I can do that, then I'm gonna go ahead and try to strive for that perfection and try to make it better and better. But that's important. Don't try to make a +1 maneuver if you can't put things together at a 0 speed.
Hey mate, it looks like Titan's doing great at Andrea's place here at NRHA Open Futurity in Scottsdale, Arizona. I hope you're enjoying it. Stay tuned for the next episode.